So I get a couple of comments a week usually about who's a Christian, what's love, what's not love, are you loving, are you not loving, criticism about different beliefs I may share. So, like in regards to either Mormonism, Utah, abortion, feminism, and other things. And so, I do have definite opinions and stern opinions sometimes about these things. But when someone tries to shame you out of your opinion or out of sharing your opinion by saying, well, I believe in love, I just believe in love, like, they can support something like Mormonism, which is a very unloving religion. I mean, just their doctrines, if you look at it, it's very unloving. It's, they attack homosexuality constantly. They attack the rights of people, whether it be gay marriage or marijuana legalization. When Joseph Smith started his church, he said that all of the other churches were wrong, that their leaders were corrupt, that, this and that. And, many prophets since had said the same thing. John Taylor said it far more hatefully, if you ask me. I mean, he was talking about John Taylor, one of their prophets, I think it was their third prophet, said that the Christian churches were born in Hades, born in hell, and their eggs were kicked to earth. These are the unloving things so far, or maybe they believe they were loving, I don't know, that their prophets had said. And so, recently when I said, well, I guess there was a classmate that commented on somebody's Mormon mission graduation thing, and he's like, well, with all of the information on the internet, how do you stay faithful, And then the person said, well, I don't know. What do you think about it, with all the information out there? She didn't answer the question. She was just like, well, what do you think about it? She turned the question around on the guy. And I was like, well, with all the information out there, I was led away from the Mormon church, but much closer to Jesus. And then the comment was something about, well, I just believe in love, and I mean, there was more to it than that. Well, actually, I could probably read it. She says, God loves all his children, and that's a choice to be like him. I choose love. So when it comes to love, was Jesus always loving? In the ways that maybe you would want him to be? I look at Jesus's love as sometimes tough love. And, and what I said, this is, I'll actually read exactly what I said. I said, there's a lot of good in those words you relayed. I think there are many paths to Jesus. I think Jesus is love. I don't think everyone understands love the same way, though, which is why I am constantly searching. For example, many times Jesus gave a lot of tough love through open rebuke. He had stern words for both the Pharisees as well as his own disciples, and he even had tough actions for the money changers at the temple. In the English language, love is such a generic term. In Greek, there are 4 words to define different types of love. All of them contrast each other greatly from one type of love to the other. But I think you were great. No conflict here. I was just intrigued by your question to Benjamin. What she asked him, I should go back. He said, do you find it hard to remain religious because of the internet and critical thinking? And then she said, that's an interesting question. What about for you? So she didn't answer it. She just said, that's an interesting question. What about for you? And I said, I found that education and saturation of knowledge took me away from the LDS Church, but much closer to Jesus. But to each their own. So I think, people don't quite understand love. Like, I know when the missionaries come and knock on my door, it's not like I'm seeking them out. It's not like, I'm trying to proselytize them. They're coming to me. And if I bring up stuff like what Brigham Young said, John Taylor said, Joseph Smith said, this is in their scriptures. I mean, if you look at Pearl of Great Price, chapter 1, Joseph Smith's history, and you look at what he said about the other Christian churches, if I bring that up, they're like, oh, contentions of the devil. So it's like if you don't accept everything they have to say, or if you don't, listen without, any kind of rebuke or any kind of questioning, if you don't just accept it, it's contention. Contention's of the devil. If you've ever had a missionary come to you, and if you've ever questioned their beliefs, you've probably heard that phrase. That's a pretty common phrase. In fact, I think they teach that at the Missionary Training Center, the MTC, before they go on their mission. I think they have all these tactics, for proselytizing. And they're like, well, people are going to question the history of the Mormon Church. People are going to question the doctrines. And what you need to say to them is, contention is of the devil, and then walk away and leave them thinking about it. I guess. I don't know, but I've heard it so much that I assume that's what's taught at the MTC, because it's just such a common vernacular for Mormons. And then, like, the abortion issue, like, someone on my feed, someone that I actually am close to, or at least related to, in part, once removed, I guess, not blood related, but the post they left was something to the nature of, and I can't quote it verbatim because I'm no longer a friend of theirs on Facebook, but they're like, if you're anti-abortion, defriend me. I can't be friends with anti-abortion people. Something of that nature. I don't know exactly what it was. I wish I could go back and read what they said, but it's gone now for me. I can't read it. And I didn't want to remove them, but I am very outspoken against abortion. And I gave them my reasons. In fact, let me just, read it. Because I don't want to say it incorrectly. I don't want to misquote myself. And since I have access to what I said, if you post a challenge such as, quote, if you are anti-abortion, unfriend me, and then I start a conversation about it to give you my opinion and reasons why I feel the way I do, and you unfriend me, to me that just works itself out the way it's supposed to be. Not a loss, but a gain in my honest opinion. I can at least say I tried, but I am not going to bend to the will of abortionists. It just won't happen. You can't manipulate me with friendship to believe the way that you believe. If you believe in abortion so much that you are willing to lose people who care about you, then that's your loss, not mine. I have never unfriended anyone over politics or abortion. If you treat me poorly, then yes, you can expect to have one less friend. But if you just disagree with me, that's not grounds for breaking up a friendship. So if friends are that fickle, they were never friends to begin with. So if I give you an opinion that I don't believe in just to make you feel better, just to maintain our friendship, is that really love? Is being disingenuous, is lying to you, love? Is pretending like I don't believe the way that I believe just so that I don't lose friends, love? That fakeness is so common in the world, especially among Mormons. Like, Mormons may feel this way and this way and this way. And it's verifiable because it's in their doctrine and they believe in it and they claim to believe in it. But when they're in your face, when you're talking with them, they're so polite, they're so nice. And if the conversation comes up, you'll often find them changing the topic, right? Not abortionists, not feminists. Those guys will go apeshit nuts on your ass. But Mormons are so nice and so mutable that even if they believe in something very, very strongly, it's very unlikely they're going to vocalize it. They're going to keep it to themselves. They're going to bottle it up. And then, they're going to live vicariously through their religion. Their religion will spout off all those things. Like recently, the Mormon Church was saying that children of homosexual couples cannot get baptized in their church. And then there was some fallout over it and some pushback. And then they changed it. They're like, okay, well, we're sorry. You guys can get baptized now. And then, during Proposition 8, everybody supported Proposition 8 because the Mormon leaders, the general authorities, were at the pulpit saying, fund this. We got to end gay marriage in California. And then with Proposition 2, the medical cannabis law that passed recently in Utah, they waged a war on that. They met with the LDS legislature. It's only because they're 90% LDS, even though the Mormon population in Utah is only 51%. the legislature in Utah is 90% Mormon, so I call it the LDS legislature. But the general authorities of the Mormon Church go meet with the LDS legislature in Utah and say, we got to change this. We can't have legal marijuana. So they change it to a way that it's totally unworkable. There will never be a pharmacist distributing, a federally illegal substance, because pharmacists are federally licensed. So they made it in a way, this HB 3001 that replaced Proposition 2, the will of the people, in a way that it won't possibly allow for legal distribution of cannabis in Utah. And they reduced all of the different symptoms that qualify for a medical license for cannabis. And so the Mormon leadership will go out on the assault, but when you're speaking one-on-one with a Mormon, despite how strongly they believe in this or how strongly they believe in that, they don't want to have contention, because contention is of the devil. So if the Mormon Church and the general authorities are contentious, are they of the devil? I'm just done being polite. I'm not going to mute myself if there's something I believe strongly, like abortion or this feminism that's ruining the United States. And this is why. Yeah, I'll go into this, sure. So this is why feminism, feminizing men, feminizing women, feminizing society, is screwing up our birth rates. So our birth rate is 1.3 kids per family. And that is down from like 4 and 5 in decades previous. Now, why that matters is because we're importing Muslim refugees, right? And Muslim immigrants of all sorts. And their birth rates are 7 kids per family. Why is that important? The world's overpopulated. It's great. This is the argument, is that we need to have less people. The world's overpopulated. First of all, the world's not overpopulated. I mean, if you look, like even in China, most of their area, most of their country is unpopulated. They centralize their populations in big cities, and there's tons of available area in the country where nobody lives. The world is not overpopulated. The United States is the same way. There's so many places in the world, most of the world is unpopulated. Most of the land, most of the mass in the world is unpopulated. That's a bullshit argument. But the problem with this is when Muslims are having 7 kids per family, 7 children per family, and Western culture is having 1.3 children per family. That means the Muslims are going to dominate everywhere they're immigrating to eventually. So by 2075, I believe, is what they predict, many Western countries like England are going to have a Muslim majority. Now, if you like living under Sharia law and you want to get your head cut off for being a feminist, because that's what they do, if you go to Saudi Arabia or Iran and you act like the idiot feminist that you are, and shaming men and shaming, this and that, and promoting homosexuality and transgenderism, if you do that in any Muslim-dominated area, you'll get your fucking head cut off. That's a fact. So if that's what you're into, then sure, bring all the Muslims in, let them have all these babies, let them, overrun our culture, and let them instill Sharia law so that your children can be oppressed or your grandchildren can be oppressed. Because, 9-year-old wives, Muhammad had a 9-year-old wife, right? I mean, that's common. If you look at London right now, where they're, gaining Muslim majorities in different areas, they're having Muslim rape gangs out there raping 9-year-olds all over the place. This is a very common thing. This isn't just a rare instance. I mean, daily they're having court cases where Muslim rape gangs have raped an English girl. It's terrible. If that's what you want for your society, then promote feminism and promote transgenderism and promote homosexuality and reduce the population of Western culture so that the Muslim culture can take over. Do that if that's what you want. I don't want that for my kids. I don't want my kids, my daughters. I have 3 daughters. I don't want them to be oppressed. And I'll fight like hell against it. That's my kind of love. Sometimes you have to have tough love. It can't always be peace pop microdot hippie Jesus love. That's not who Jesus was. What did Jesus do? He whipped the money changers at the temple. He called the Pharisees snake shit. He called them brood of vipers. He called Peter, he said, "Get behind me, Satan." I mean, Jesus was not just, touchy-feely and all about the feelings and respecting everybody's emotions. And Jesus gave people tough love. I'm not against doing that. I'll do that too, no doubt. Absolutely. Because I don't want my kids in 100 years to be oppressed by a Muslim majority. And that's where it's heading. Peace out.